I was going through my darkest period. I must have watched this scene from the movie Gladiator every single day because I desperately wanted what was offered here. When my life felt like it was falling apart, I wanted the peace that came with this scene. Walking through an endless field of nature, just feeling the grass, felt like a peaceful moment. And all I wanted was something peaceful in my life, when everything felt like a storm. It wasn't until years later that I fully understood what this scene meant. How's it going, guys? I'm Dr. Tank. I help really intelligent people handle their emotions, because really intelligent people live in the logical mind space. So when the emotional mind takes over, it's very difficult to control because they're not experienced in having those skills. So when rage flares in their life, they struggle handling it. If you want instant control of your anger, your family feels like they're walking on eggshells, check out the link below to the Emotional RX program, where I take you by the hand and guide you step by step on how to control your anger instantly. They're not simple breathing exercises. They're not exercises where you remember how you felt at a happy moment in life and recall it, hoping that emotion's gonna come back. If you want more details on the program, check out the link below. Before we get started, if you really are struggling with taking your own life, please reach out and get professional help. If you're mentally struggling, just a tiny trigger can push you over the edge. Please get help before it's too late. Over a decade ago, I graduated from school. I felt like my life should have been set. Instead, I ended up not having a job, not having a relationship, and not having a place to live. It was embarrassing, and it felt like I brought shame on my family. It felt like I failed in life, and the pain of loss contributes to these emotions, and I desperately wanted to escape the emotional pain. I wanted to escape my life, and I almost did too. The thought of escaping life and finding peace was so tempting. It was like the alluring calls of sirens in the Odyssey. Fortunately, I didn't take that leap. In one of Logic's songs, he says that, "I've been praying for somebody to save me. No one's heroic, and my life don't even matter. I know it. I know it. I know I'm hurting deep down, but I can't show it. And nobody calling my phone, where you been, where you at, what's on your mind. They say every life precious, but nobody cares about mine." And that's how it felt. It felt like nobody was caring about my life. Even though there were people who did, it still felt like it wasn't enough. And I remembered this very peaceful scene in Gladiator. I looked it up and rewatched it regularly, almost every day for 2 months, hoping that I would get some sort of peace from this. The haunting chants of the song was able to ease my mind. It was almost like a guided meditation. See, this was from the original Gladiator movie, released in 2000. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, and then come back here. Basically, in ancient Rome, a general gets betrayed when he's appointed to be the next ruler. His family is killed, he's sold into slavery, to fight in battles as entertainment. At the end of the movie, this scene plays when he's about to be reunited with his dead family. See, this specific scene has a few layers of meaning pretty deep in it. The song that's playing is called Elysium. Elysium was written by Hans Zimmer and Klaus Badelt. It's sung by Lisa Gerrard. Now, Elysium itself is defined as an eternal paradise in ancient Greek mythology, originally only for heroes and others granted immortality by the gods, and later also for the blessed dead and those who lived a righteous life. Another definition for Elysium is a place or state of bliss, felicity, or delight. In other words, paradise. And this was what I wanted, was a place of mental bliss and paradise. And I was almost willing to go through anything just to get it. In the Odyssey, Homer says that, "To the Elysian plains, where life is easiest for men, no snow is there, nor heavy storm, nor ever rain. But ever does ocean send up blasts of the shrill blowing west wind that may give cooling to men." And that sounds hypnotically comforting. So comforting that some people might just take their own life just to feel it. Elysium is even specifically mentioned in the movie when General Maximus says,
"You find yourself alone, riding in green fields with the sun on your face. Do not be troubled, for you are in Elysium, and you're already dead."
So when I was at my lowest in life, I I had one big question looming over me. It was, what kind of horrific evil did I do to deserve this in my life? I thought I was a good person. I tried to help people when I could. It's not fair that I have to suffer like this, especially when I didn't do anything wrong. It would be different if I purposely hurt other people, lied, cheated, or stole. But I didn't do those. So why am I the one that gets to struggle? Why am I the one that gets all the pain? I know people who specifically do those things, and they live an easy life. That's not fair. What did I do? Why am I targeted? The same thing happened to Maximus. He was betrayed when he was supposed to be the next ruler. His family gets killed, and he gets sentenced to death. He escapes death, but still he gets imprisoned. So why is this happening to him when he didn't do anything wrong? But first, let's address Maximus's values. He values serving the Roman Empire. He also takes great care when describing his family to Caesar, showing that he values them as well. We also see that he values a child's innocence later in the movie. His only wish was to go back home to his family following the war. When his former lover even speaks to him, he takes great care in not falling into temptation. So his service is without question. He sees that death is glory for the Roman Empire, thereby implying that death for fun is meaningless. So when he immediately refuses the throne when offered to him, we know that he values service over ruling. So when Commodus kills his own father and tries to kill Maximus, we ask, what did Maximus do to deserve this? How is this fair? How is life fair? A consequence of Maximus losing everything: his family, his home, his career, and his prestige. In addition, he also loses his freedom, his identity, his allegiance, beliefs, and his hometown, is that he undergoes grief. When someone's faced with a drastic downshift in life, you can't just say life's not fair and hope they get better. People need to grieve their losses. Traditionally speaking, there are 5 stages of grief. I'm just going to focus on the 5 for now. It's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. In the first phase, denial, you deny the event ever occurring. You pretend that life is still normal, hoping that it was just a bad memory. In the second stage, you get angry. You get angry at the people who hurt you. You get angry at life itself. In the third stage, bargaining, you bargain with yourself mostly, praying that if you didn't do something, this consequence wouldn't have occurred. In the fourth stage, depression, you fall into a state of sadness. And in the fifth stage, acceptance, you're not okay with it, but you've accepted the fact that it did occur, and you accept your grief with it. So Maximus starts out serving the Roman Empire. After he's betrayed, he goes through depression. He shuts out everybody who talks to him. He ignores all the advice given to him as well. He refuses to talk to other people or to fight for fun. But that's not enough, see? He actually undergoes physical harm to himself. And this is to distract the emotional pain that he's going through. And he doesn't even fight until he's put in immediate danger, in which case he starts flipping the switch and undergoing another stage of grief. In the next stage of his life, he undergoes anger. In this case, he's fighting his enemies without remorse, and he does so to survive, but he still holds the value of fighting for a purpose. He attacks the audience. He throws a weapon into the audience, yelling his famous line, "Are you not entertained?" But then he learns of a way to get revenge. See, Proximo tells him that he can't just kill quickly. He needs to win the audience. Then he can be presented in front of the emperor and gain his freedom. But Maximus knows something. He understands this is how he can get revenge. And he purposely leaves out that he wants to gain his freedom. He wants to be presented in front of the emperor so he could kill him. And the collateral damage for that is his own death. And he understands that. When you're in your anger phase, you do not care about collateral damage. The anger takes over and controls you. See, here's another interesting thing that happened. Before he fights, he gets a visitor named Lucius, who's the son of his former lover. Lucius says he will root for him in the gladiatorial games. Understanding that this is a child, he wonders why would a child be presented with such horrors. So, when he finally wins his gladiatorial battle, Maximus is presented in front of the emperor with the intent to kill him and the intent to die, until Lucius runs out. This is when he makes a clear pivot. This is when he finally lets go of the anger stage. This is when he begins to change. We finally see Maximus with an authentic smile when he talks to Lucius, and when Lucius runs out in front of the Emperor, Maximus stops himself from killing the Emperor. He sees a cost greater than revenge. He sees the possible collateral cost of his anger. He would be sacrificing the innocence of a child for his own wants and gains. He makes a long-term change, and we see it in his next battle. He doesn't kill his enemy. He actually spares his opponent's life. Marcus Aurelius in his book Meditation says, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." After winning that battle, Maximus sees his old friend Cicerus. He immediately believes that he has the ability to make positive change. By seeing an old friend who believes in him, he starts to believe in himself as well. He believes that Commodus is a greater threat than just to himself. He wants to gather his armies and take over. Afterwards, he would give Rome back to the Senate, which was the original wish of a dying man. Commodus, the new emperor, threatens not just his friends, but all of Rome. With the hope that Cicero provides, Maximus sees the means of achieving a better future for himself and others. This belief in the future is a critical marker for hope. In our minds, our belief firms up links between ourselves and the future, priming people for hope. When we feel grief, we want to escape that pain. We can easily escape it with temporary pleasure. And as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, it's a good temporary band-aid. But numbing yourself with hedonism isn't a long-term plan. And ignoring the world, suffocating your own emotions in isolation, also isn't a good long-term plan. You need to wallow and grieve. It will hurt for what seems like forever. It might take days, months, years, or even like me, over a decade. Think of this as a rebirth, a second chance to remake yourself and your life into something new. Not many people get that chance to remake themselves in a way that they want. You can get a chance to rebuild yourself. Most people don't get the motivation to change. This is your opportunity to use your emotions to fuel this change, but you need to grieve first. Power down, take some time off, learn about yourself and your needs. What are your boundaries? Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now, take what's left and live it properly. Band-aids are great at helping you heal minor cuts and bruises, but major injuries require more help. The most dangerous aspect of grief is that our empowerment has evaporated. What remains is the feeling of helplessness. It's that we lack the sense of agency in our life. Emotional recovery requires that we're empowered to believe we can make positive changes in our life. Grief takes a back seat to that empowerment. When Maximus restrains himself from killing Commodus because Lucius is there, he believes he's capable of making positive actions, ironically, by not taking action. Not everybody will experience grief the same. Maximus didn't go through his denial or bargaining, and that's okay. Your grief might not be the same either. Revenge and anger can feel good to unleash. When you've been hurt, you want to take it out on other people, especially those who hurt you. But there's so much collateral damage that comes with it. Maximus understood this. He knew killing Commodus would be a suicide mission. It's unfortunate that this happened. It could have happened to anyone. Does what's happened keep you from acting with justice, generosity, self-control, sanity, prudence, honesty, humility, straightforwardness, and the other qualities that allow a person's nature to fulfill itself? When we're overwhelmed with grief and anger, we want to lash out. Collateral damage be damned. It isn't until we look back that we realize how much we have hurt the people around us, specifically the people who we care about and care about us. And although Maximus didn't go through all the stages of grief, he was able to find his way out of the darkness. See, despite his darkest times, Maximus still held close his values. When we're in a period of grief, it's easy to surrender our values in order to attain some sort of alleviation from that pain. Maximus was tested when they gave him battle in the games. Being that he was in his anger stage, he lashed out at the audience. He questions the values of the audience because it clashes with his value of battling with honor. Maximus was also fortunate enough to realize the cost of revenge would be a child's innocence if he killed Commodus in front of Lucius. The restraint clearly shows us what's more important to him. And when meeting with Gracchus, he continues to hold his values firmly by telling him that he doesn't want to rule Rome. He wants to honor the wishes of a dead man he holds dear and release Rome back to the Senate. Even upon his last breath, he repeats that honorable wish. If you won't keep track of what your own soul's doing, how can you not be unhappy? Hold on to your values. Holding on to your values allows you to hold on to your soul. And that soul can guide you out of the darkness. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I've made many mistakes getting out of that dark spot. But the light now is so much brighter. Giving up and waiting to die is the helpless approach. Most people who aren't empowered enough to take action believe their actions don't contribute to making their life better. This lack of agency can cripple you on a subconscious level. Most of the prisoners in Gladiator only survive to fight the next battle. They lack the empowerment to believe they can make any sort of change in their life. And as a result, they await their death. There are very few gladiators in this movie who show any sort of growth. Specifically, we could see one person who can, and that's Proximo. He used to be a gladiator, and he understood that in order to win the games, he didn't just battle, he had to win the audience. This shows foresight and thought. It also shows a potential hope for future growth. He had the foresight to understand that if he won the audience, he would gain his freedom. Ironically, he won his freedom and now imprisons gladiators. But to the other gladiators, the lack of hope shows helplessness. If you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. This isn't to say that everything will be great once you get out of that dark spot. There will always be difficult times, no matter who you are. It's the struggles that help you determine what's important to you. Once you battle those struggles, you might find yourself hopeful. What's a day without a little night? I'm just trying to shed a little light. It can be hard. It can be so hard, but you gotta live right now. You got everything to give right now. Pain don't hurt the same, I know, but I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry anymore. I want to feel alive. I don't want to die anymore. I'm Dr. Tank. Never give up on yourself.